Okay, thanks for being on tonight, guys. There might be a few others popping on, but we will see. So I'm just going to go ahead and get jumped in on tonight's topic, which is all things Instagram. Um, the last thing we're going to talk about is growth on Instagram, which might, if we get to it, it's a big topic, and we could also if I don't get to it, I have a document that kind of lays things out that I can post later. But Instagram in itself is just like a huge monster of a topic. So we're just going to chip away at it a little bit tonight. So, first things first is Instagram. Our Instagram pages are our storefront, our brand, our basically our storefront and our billboard to our business. And so it needs to basically just be a reflection of who we are, our story, our brand, and not scream Beachbody coach or Beachbody whatever or product. So to kind of start out, if you've heard any type of Instagram training before, usually it starts with picking, the top 5 things about you and what is specific to you and your lifestyle. So whether you're a teacher or a softball coach or boy mom or girl mom, or you like tattoos or you like to travel or you're a foodie, sit down and make a list of who you are, what you geek out over, what struggles you've overcome. I know some people put sober on there, or breast cancer survivor, or whatever might be kind of part of your story, to write those things down. Maybe they're things that you love, like your dog or your job, or people that mean a lot to you. So I have my faith on there. My first thing is my faith. I'm married to a medical student. I am an expecting mom, so I'm going to be a new mom soon. I recently just changed these, but I have instead of health and fitness coach, I changed that a couple months ago to say online accountability coach, because we don't just do fitness. We are not, registered dietitians. So I thought accountability coach was a good way to kind of say that. And then I used to have auntie on there. I am a really proud aunt, but long story short, I am not supposed to share my nephew publicly anymore. So I actually took that off. And I also recently took off foodie. I had foodie on there, but when I look back at my page, I've got no pictures of food recently on my page, so it doesn't make sense for me to have foodie on there. So I just recently took that off, and I recently replaced it with athletic diva, because I love health and fitness, but if you look at my posts, I'm kind of dressed up. I look almost like a fashionista, and so I'm a little bit of both. So I just kind of deemed myself athletic diva, because that's kind of a reflection of my pictures on my page. So sit down, write out a list. What pertains to you? Who are you? And that list is going to be something you go to often to pull from it inspiration for what you want to post about that day. So this is who you are. People aren't buying into necessarily our products first. They're buying into you. The people meant for you will love you as long as you put the real, genuine, authentic you out there. So a couple quick tips off the bat is to use curiosity marketing. I know a lot of us here are new coaches, and we might want to, come right out and say, I'm decided to be a Beachbody coach, or I love my Shakeology, or you're holding your Shakeology bottle where the logo is very obvious. When I'm trying to find new followers on Instagram, I can just do one stripe through their profile, and if I see Energize or Shakeology or their Beachbody step, I know that they're a coach. And so we want to use curiosity marketing by not name dropping so that people can say, oh, what's this yellow drink that she's drinking before her workouts? Oh, what's this superfood shake she keeps talking about? Oh, what are these online health and fitness programs that she's talking about? And they will comment on your photos, or they'll DM message you and ask you, hey, like, what are you doing? What are you drinking? It's creating curiosity with your followers, and also creates conversations for you to get into talking with them about their health and fitness goals and whatever. So curiosity marketing, no name dropping. Like I said, your page needs to be about you first, and not just word vomiting about product program on our feed. Beachbody already does all that kind of marketing for us. We're here to be a reflection of ourselves and of our own health and fitness journeys, what we're learning, what we're struggling with. So hopefully that was helpful. People need to fall in love with you. So don't give them a reason to scan over your page really quickly without getting to know you first as a person, what you've overcome with your health and fitness journey, or, not your health and fitness journey. Another quick tip is to not post pricing on your post or in the comments below. So we might make a post about how we're starting our new online boot camp soon. We're going to be doing this kind of program. I'm super excited. Let me know if you're interested. So you will have those people who will straight up be like, what's the bottom line? Or how much does this cost? Does it cost to join? You can answer those people straight up by saying, instead of dropping a dollar amount in the comments below, respond to their comment by saying, hey, super excited that you're interested. I'll shoot you a DM with the information. So never put that straight out there, because we want people to understand the value first behind what we're doing and the group and the program and the product before we show them the price. So quick tips right off the bat, wanted to put those down there. So as we jump into kind of this topic of Instagram, we're going to be talking about aesthetic, so the visual appeal of your page. We'll talk really briefly about the highlights that you can have on your page, lighting when it comes to photos, and a couple different apps that you can use when it comes to photos. And then we can jump into Instagram growth. So aesthetic. This is kind of tricky up front to kind of figure out, but anything that you post on social media should be visually appealing, aka have great lighting, should be interesting, eye-catching, intriguing, and if you have a pic that you want to share that isn't gonna make your feed look pretty, you can put it on your Instagram stories, or I'll talk about apps later on that you can kind of adjust the lighting and adjust a filter so that it fits kind of your vibe, your brand. So when I'm talking about a vibe or a brand or an aesthetic on your page is we could use Julie Kemp as an example. If you were to go research Julie Kemp, or I think it's Mrs. Julie Kemp on Instagram, her images are all kind of lighter, brighter, pastel-y type photos, and she adjusts all the filters and the lighting to look cohesive. Another person I really love to follow is Amy Silverman. She's a top 10 coach, and one, she takes amazing photos. Two, her brand is just super cohesive. And three, she's really, really amazing with her content that she posts in we'll talk about content later, but she's just really good at being consistent with her posting and making sure she's talking about all different aspects of her life and all different aspects of coaching and her fitness journey and her before and after on a regular basis. So if you guys aren't following at least one top 10 coach, I would suggest you look up who are the top 10 coaches. Just pick one for inspiration. not to compare yourselves to them, but just to have inspiration. For some reason, I've always loved Amy Silverman's vibe. So that's what I mean by aesthetic or a brand. So I've been revamping mine a little bit. Mine used to be really kind of dark contrast, kind of more moody lighting, not light and bright, but just kind of more dark. And recently I decided, well, last summer, I actually had a friend who is a photographer do a fun photo shoot for me, a fitness inspired photo shoot. And I would really encourage you guys to do something like this, because it's probably one of the best things that I've done as far as my Instagram page, is to set aside these kind of days for photo shoots, because there's days like today or yesterday when I'm just, working in sweatpants and, I feel like crap, or I didn't do anything super interesting. And so I don't take any photos and I feel like I don't have anything to post. And there's a lot of those days. And so those are the days where I can go back to that photo shoot, pick a photo to post that day, whether, and even though I'm like maybe in athletic clothes, sometimes my hair was down, sometimes my hair was up. I had 2 different outfits and like 3 different locations that we took pictures at. And I'm not always talking about my health and fitness journey in the caption of those photos. Sometimes I'm talking about, what God's teaching me. Or there was one day where I talked about jealousy and whatnot. So having a photo bank of images that you can rebound off of is extremely helpful. So I have that fitness gallery of photos that I can pull from. And then recently I had my sister has a nice camera. She's been playing around with it a little bit. She's not a professional photographer, but I'm like, hey, she's trying to learn how to use a camera. I need photos. So I asked her, hey, do you want to do a fun photo shoot, like business photo shoot / maternity photo shoot for me? It'd be super fun. And so we did that I think it was last weekend actually, or 2 weekends ago. And I knew that the areas that we were going to be taking pictures were either outside with snow, light and bright, or in my mom's house, which is light and bright. And so I was thinking to myself, this could potentially really change the aesthetic or the vibe of my page. So I recently decided to switch gears and change my aesthetic of my page. So if you go to my page, you can see the last 9 photos on there are pretty dang different in comparison to the rest of my page. So figure out what style of photo you like and what filter you like using the most, and try and be as consistent as possible with using that same filter. And think about maybe on the weekends when you feel like you dressed up and you did your hair nice and whatever, ask your best friend or your significant other to take a couple photos of you so that you have something to post later in the week. So always kind of be thinking about that. So that's aesthetic. And then part of that was lighting. Make sure that when you are taking a picture that there's as much natural light or sunlight shining directly on your face as possible. So I have a crappy iPhone like 6 or something, so my camera's not amazing. But when I'm sitting in this chair and I'm facing the window at 2 p.m. when the sun's high in the sky, I can take a pretty dang good picture with just my iPhone 6 and using my app to apply my filter and maybe sharpen the image a little bit. So face a window or get a ring light just like this. I have this, you can't really see it, but it's something that I got off Amazon. This one specifically was like $30, but it has 3 different like colors of light and different brightnesses. And then I also have this one. That's a clip ring light, and I also got this from Amazon. This was probably like $5, but it also has 3 different brightnesses and makes a difference when you use it if you're like taking pictures at nighttime or first thing in the morning. So check that out off Amazon if you need help with lighting, if you take a lot of pictures like before the sun is even up or at nighttime. Okay, highlights. So I think most of us have tapped into this already, but if you have not, there is a way for you to create highlights on your Instagram profile. And these are basically subjects that make sense to whatever's important to you and what you do or who you are. Mine include food. So I have a lot of examples of how to use portion control containers on there, how to make my shake, and, treat meals and stuff on there. I have sample moves for one, and then I also have one that's specifically for coaching. And those will be, sometimes I'll like screenshot comments that my challengers have made that maybe it's like my before and after or their before and after photo, or just a paragraph that they typed in the group of how they're benefiting from our online accountability group or whatnot. I just kind of fill up that coaching highlight with behind the scenes stuff to give people an idea of what I do as an online accountability coach. You can also do just like again, I used to have one as an aunt and it used to be tons of stuff with my nephew on there. So, it could be really anything that you want it to be, but I would for sure have at least one that is coaching on there. And then I just recently added one called Boot Camp Details. And last weekend or a couple days ago, I went on my Instagram stories and I was inviting people to my challenge group. And at the very end, I put one of those question stickers and I said, what questions do you guys have about my online boot camp? Now, most of the time, people do not respond to those things that I post. So I went in there and I started typing in questions for people because people usually just don't know what to ask. So I typed in like, is there an age difference? Is there a modifier if I have bad knees? Can I do this if I'm pregnant? How does the nutrition plan work? Does it cost? And the next day I went back and I answered each of those questions on my Instagram story in kind of a professional manner. And now I have all of those saved to a highlight on my page so that, if I'm talking to someone who maybe has more additional questions, I can direct them to my boot camp highlight reel where I've addressed verbally a lot of these questions. And the day that I did that, I had a lot of good feedback because people just don't know what to ask. And so I asked the questions for them. I put the information out there, and I had a lot of people say that was really helpful. So check that out if you didn't see that on my own Instagram stories. And I would encourage all of you guys to do something similar to that. Okay, so that is highlights. And then I wanted to talk about a couple different apps that you guys can use for your own photos. The main one, I like to keep things really simple, you guys. There's a million apps out there, but my main go-to is VSCO, VSCO, and it looks like this. It's just white with a black circle, and it does cost, I think it was free when I bought it, but I think it's now like $4, $5. I can't really remember, but it's amazing. It has really awesome filters. You can sharpen images, you can brighten or darken images. That's my main editing app that I use. And then another app that I use a lot is the Layout app. Super simple if you ever are doing a before and after photo or want to put two photos side by side. Everyone knows about the Boomerang app. And Kate could actually talk about this one, but there's kind of a newer app called Unfold, which looks really sharp and really professional, and I haven't dove too far into that, but I know Kate has used it a couple times. So Kate, I don't know if you want to talk, like mention anything on that really quick or things that you like about it or whatnot.
It's called Unfold.
Oh, that's the one I've thought you've been using.
No, I don't. Oh, I was looking at my phone. I think it's on my iPad. Yeah, Unfold is super nice. Sorry.
Looks like
my
that.
brain. Yeah.
Okay.
I used it, and you guys can see it if you go to my profile, because I used it to do a bunch of information about just like my journey of starting coaching. The only thing I don't like about it, and this is just because of personal experience probably, is I see a lot of like the It Works people using it and like overusing it that I don't want. I don't know. Sometimes it starts to look the same.
Okay.
So that's the only thing about that. I'm in the process of looking for something similar though. So I'll let you guys know once I finalize which one I like the best.
Okay. Did you do that? Is that under one of your highlights?
I thought it was. Is it not?
Is it under Ask Kate maybe?
It might be. Let me look. I can find it and put it in the chat if you want.
Okay. Because I just looked through your coaching one. I didn't see it, but maybe it's under your fitness or My Story.
Oh, I think it's called My Story.
Okay, cool. So
yes,
go to Kate's page at some time this week and watch her My Story, and that'll give you an idea of what the Unfold app is like. I personally really like it. I think it's really sharp. So
yeah, it does look professional for sure.
Like what I think I might use it for is when I'm promoting a boot camp or an online accountability group, is to share other girls' transformation stories by maybe showing a before and after picture of them if they're comfortable with that. And then I'm actually going to see if they will type out a short paragraph for me, like basically a testimonial. Be like, this is what these groups have done for me, or I struggled with this and now I have blah, blah, blah. Again, Amy Silverman does this. And so I just really like how she does things. And I've seen her do this and use the Unfold app in that way. So I'm going to check that out. Okay. Apps. Other apps that you can use. Pixlr, Pixlr. You can use this for collages, side to side, brightening or blurring out the background, cropping. I know that at least for Android, you can use that. There's one called Snapseed. There's another one called Pick, Play, Post. But I mainly just use the VSCO, the layout, and then if I'm ever editing a video, the app that I used recently is called Video Shop. So you guys can play around with those, research those, if that's something you'd like to do. Okay. Oh yes, Allison says she uses Canva for photos to announce challenge groups. Perfect. I use WordSwag for announcing challenge groups on my Instagram stories. So again, I think you guys, they might have up to the pricing on, I think it's like $5 a month now or something with WordSwag. You'll have to look into that. But I literally feel like I use WordSwag every day for either my Instagram stories or creating banners for my challenge group. It's just super simple and slick. But I do believe that you can use Canva for the same thing. I just don't know how simple the app version of Canva is versus WordSwag. So definitely look into those for sure. Okay, so content. I wanted to talk about, I feel like a lot of people have trouble posting on Instagram because they don't know what to say. And again, this is where I would make sure you're following at least one top 10 coach, because when I feel like I'm in a rut, one, that usually means I need to listen to personal development and kind of fill my cup up, be inspired by something so that I can share whatever that thing is. Or sometimes I honestly just go to Amy Silverman's page and be like, what has Amy Silverman been posting about? Because one, she's really good at posting about her daily life, what she's like learning in daily. She just became a new mom, so she has been sharing her journey with that. She always, at least once a week, I feel, or at least every other week, is like sharing her transformation photo. She is postpartum right now, so like obviously her body is very different at this stage in her life, but she's still pulling up her old transformation photos to show like, hey, you know, I'm going back to this. Like, this is what I transformed. I was able to achieve before. This is what my current challenge group girls are achieving right now. And she always is remembering that she's constantly getting new followers. And so we're all constantly getting new followers, and we all need to be constantly be sharing our story with those new people who come across our page. And reminding people who've been around our page for a while about our story, about our, original transformation stories. So this kind of goes back to that list that we created at the beginning of, what is your story? Did you used to struggle with binge eating? Were you addicted to sugar? Were you someone who struggled with under eating? What either was your past struggle or is your current struggle that you're committed to working towards overcoming? What is that thing for you that makes it your story? And when I get down to the nitty gritty of coming out and not just like being really factual in my caption, but getting into story mode, kind of thinking back to, if I was an author, if I was a blog, because we kind of are all bloggers in a way, how can I put my story into kind of like an easy flow that is captivating with the first phrase, the first sentence, to get people to want to keep reading on. So you need to think about that first sentence. What can I say in this first sentence that will grab people's attention, make them stop scrolling, and read my story and be able to connect with me in a personal way? So that needs to be a big part of our page. And at least every other week, I think we should be making a certain post like that talks about, this is what I used to struggle with, and this is how I've overcome it, and I'm thankful for my groups because blah, or something like that. So sharing our health and fitness journey on a regular basis, sharing about our coaching lifestyle on a regular basis, little ways that coaching has benefited your life, whether that be financially, physically, community-wise, making friends, being held accountable to your own health and fitness journey, that kind of thing. And maybe that's something you need to make a separate list for, to kind of just brainstorm, 5 to 10 ways that coaching has been a benefit to your life. And those can be inspirational little bullet points that you can use to create posts as far as why coaching is important to you. So that aside, I think a big part of where we should be grabbing our content from is personal development. So if you're not reading a book or listening to a book on Audible or listening to a podcast series by, the Rise podcast by Rachel Hollis, or the Brendon Burchard podcast, there's so many different podcasts out there that we can be listening to as for personal development. So make sure that you're listening to something, especially when you feel like you're kind of in this writer's block rut type thing. Okay, 8 minutes. We're going to dive into Instagram growth after I take a drink of water. Okay. First thing on my list is not my favorite because I don't honestly use this a ton to find friends, but hashtags. So Instagram allows you to have 30 hashtags for each photo post that you make. You want to make sure that the hashtags are popular enough that other people are using them, but not so popular that you get lost in the mix. So generally, when you're choosing a hashtag, make sure that it's between 50,000 to less than 1 million people using that specific hashtag. You want your hashtags to be relevant to both you and the photo. So I have started to copy and paste when I type out a bunch of hashtags. Before I hit post, I'll copy and paste those hashtags to my notes section so that I don't have to type them out every single time. So there could be 20 different hashtags that you use for every single photo. So depending on who you are, maybe you're like a teacher and a softball coach and a dog mom and you like tattoos, or you're a blogger. There's tons of different hashtags that you can use for those specific things. Save them in your notes and basically just use them every time. I'm pregnant, so I'm using a ton of like pregnant mom, prego belly, second trimester, 23 weeks pregnant, mama to be. I'm using like a ton of those over and over and over again. So find your hashtags that pertain to you, type them out in Instagram to see how, like, where they fall as far as how many people are using them, and then copy and paste them to your notes section to save you time later down the road. Okay. Tags. So Instagram allows you to tag 20 accounts per photo. So like if you were to tag your husband in your photo, you can also tag other types of accounts in that photo. So no matter what the heck you're wearing, I always will tag usually like whatever I'm wearing. So Nike shoes, Nike women, Nike training, whatever brands that I'm wearing. And then I'll just start typing in women or women who or women of, and tons of different options will pop up below that. And you can just start picking some accounts that will pop up. Same thing, you could, if you're a teacher, you can type in teacher and all these different, accounts will pop up and you can tag them in your photo. So in doing so, you will show up on their profiles under their like tagged photos. So their followers on their accounts will see you and will see your photos when they go to those specific accounts. Bonus, sometimes depending on who you tag, you may sometimes get like regrammed, or they might reshare your post maybe in their Instagram stories. Or I actually just tagged Prego leggings account in one of my photos, and they just reached out to me and are wanting to like send me free product to like have and post about. So I'm getting a free pair of leggings because I just by chance tagged them in my photo. So that's cool. The other thing is geotagging. You can do these on your Instagram posts and in your stories. So first, to talk about my stories, you guys probably don't know this, but in all of my sample moves, at like every single different slide, I am tagging a different location. So my first one is always Rochester, Minnesota. My next one is Minneapolis, Minnesota. The next one is California, Utah, Omaha, because I used to live in Omaha and I'm moving back to Omaha. And I could also be tagging Ames. And so I tap on it to make it clear, and I make it super small, and I hide it in the screen so people like can't see it. But the reason I do that, and I've honestly noticed for some reason I just always tag California, and I've been getting more and more new friends from California because they are finding me through the geotag and come across my sample move. Yeah, Kate says you can also change the color to make it blend. Yes. I tap it so that it looks kind of like gray clear and make it small so people can't see it. So I do tons of different locations through all those different sample moves so that you can reach different people with each different slide on your Instagram story. And then when you use geotags in your personal or your Instagram posts on your photos, people can also find you in that way. So I most of the time will tag Rochester, Minnesota, or I could just do Minnesota if you don't want people to know what town you live in. Like if you live in a really small town, like Cambridge, Iowa, I would not tag Cambridge. I would tag like Des Moines, or I would just tag Iowa, because more people are likely to be searching Des Moines or Iowa than, like, I don't know who would go search Cambridge, Iowa, because it's just really small. So, okay, last thing. We've got 2 minutes. Interacting with people. Just kidding, we have less than a minute. It's not called social media for nothing. We need to actually be interacting with other accounts, especially ones using similar hashtags in our area. If you've done various plans on like liking and commenting, there's a lot of different ways to do this, and we're not going to have a lot of time to talk about it, so I'm going to end up posting this document on it. But there are, the main way for you to go and find new friends, not using hashtags, is to pick your top 3 best friends who are similar to you, similar in age to you, and go to their followers, because they most likely have, obviously you have a friend in common, and you're most likely the same age as them. So pick your top 3 best friends, go to their followers, and start following and liking those people's things, because there's a pretty good chance that they'll follow you back because Molly is your friend in common or whatever. Start there. And then there's also apps like Captivate, Jumper, 21 Social that you can pay for to help you do stuff like this. So this is a huge topic, and maybe I'll go live in the page later this week to talk more about this, but hopefully these tips on Instagram were helpful for you guys, and we're going to run out of time. So thanks for jumping on tonight. Hopefully that was helpful, and I will let you guys go. If you have questions, put them in the comments below the post on the page. Sound good? All right. We will see you guys later. Bye, guys.